Hey everybody, it's Eric at Nailed or Failed Reviews, and today we're going to be doing an install video and a short review video on the parts and pieces that it takes to install an electric jack on your camper trailer. We're going to help you guys go from this guy to make it easier on you when you get to the campsite to level out your trailers, or even when you're getting ready to take off and installing your weight distribution bars. We're going to show you how to tie in to a main power point on your camper trailer and show you all the parts and pieces that you need to do it right now on Nailed or Failed Reviews. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is the small parts and the little pieces that you need to do this. Because there's so many electric trailer jacks available out there, I'm going to talk about that last because they are kind of dependent on the weight and the features that you want. So let's talk about these small parts. Now, you are going to need some ring terminal and butt splice connectors to do this. And instead of going Home Depot and Lowe's like I've done way too many times now to buy those stupid little 10 packs of a one size ring terminal or a butt splice connector, just use our affiliate link if you would and pick up one of these 250 piece boxes of all the connections you're ever going to need. Now these are heat shrink connectors, and this is a foreign brand, so it's not like it's an American brand, so they are a little bit different in the quality as far as the heat shrink on them. But I have used these and have not experienced any issues or failures with them, so I definitely do recommend them. And there's a few of these kits out there, so again, we'll be providing some of these links for the different ones that you'll come across on Amazon. But these, you can't go wrong. For $20, $30, you're gonna get 250 pieces of all the connections you could ever need to do work on like your 12-volt system on your trailer, on your car, for example. If you have any small motor work that you're trying to do at home on anything, electric motors, things like that. If you have to hook up anything to battery power, this is really going to help you out. Now, it only goes up to about, I believe it's like 8 gauge wire, a 10 gauge wire. So yeah, so you're not going to be able to do anything over 10 gauge. You're going to have to get some of those individual packs to do that. But anything between 10 and lower, so small wire gauges, you're going to have everything you need to do this. And this is going to be really handy. So you got butt splice connectors, you got ring terminals, you have quick disconnect terminals or connectors, you have fork connectors, so all of them that you could ever need, different size diameter ring terminals, different size butt splice connectors. So here's a 10 gauge one, and here's like a 14 gauge one. So definitely just use the affiliate link and pick that up. We've decided to install a switch on our electric jack. Now there is a switch already on this to turn the lights on, but for the motor itself there is no on-off switch. It's just powered, apparently powered all the time, and it's just a toggle switch basically that you're gonna either go one way for down or one way for up. So we're gonna install this BEP switch here. These are really handy. This is a BEP Marine, I believe is how you say it, BEP. And so we found one of these toggle switches that is really the only one that we could find that was you could easily purchase on something like Amazon without spending a ton of money. So again, this is the BEP Marine toggle switch. This is a waterproof switch. So we're gonna hook this up inline into the electric jack here for a couple reasons. Number one, because we're not really sure, we're almost positive that it is going to draw some phantom power. So we're going to just have a switch so that we aren't draining our battery indiscreetly and just not knowing about it, and then one day you come to work the electric jack and it doesn't go up. Well, you probably drained your battery. Someone could also leave the lights on. There's a little red switch on here to turn these lights on, and if they don't turn it off, because these aren't super bright, so you may not notice it, especially if it's not completely dark out, then that is definitely going to drain your battery. And if you only have a small battery set up, that could really spell trouble. If you have something like a slide out, or if you have your awning out and then someone left the lights on the next day or that night, you try to put those in, you could be out of luck and you'd have no power to possibly put your slide in or put your awning in. So definitely think about installing a switch. We actually have a small area on the A-frame just under where the mounting bolts are for the electric jack that there's some holes there already that we can actually mount this switch. It does have a waterproof cover on it, so again, that's really nice feature of it. So you can just screw that onto there, and then you're actually going to have a really discreet waterproof switch that we can toggle the power on and off. The other thing that you might want to consider picking up is possibly some heat shrink tube to actually make your connections much more waterproof. We're going to show you guys how to install this the power-wise to a main power point that a lot of trailers have these days. Even older trailers have these power points. These are right close to the front of the trailer, and actually we're going to be able to install our electric trailer jack without installing any other cabling. So we don't have to pick up any extra wire to do this, but you might want to think about picking up some extra heat shrink. I'm going to actually be using this heat shrink down under the trailer because I just want to protect everything, all my connections as well as possible, from any splash or spray that might be happening while driving through the rain. You're also going to need some wire strippers and some wire clippers, and that's about it. Again, we're going to be hooking this up to a main power point that's already there on the frame. A lot of people will just be running this power to the battery itself through a ring terminal. Our batteries are no longer located on the front of our trailer. They're actually inside of the trailer. So we're gonna, like I said, run this to a point that's already on the outside of the trailer that is a positive power connecting point. All right, so let's talk about the jack itself. Now, obviously these are electrified, so that's what makes these really nice. But they also do have a few features on them, and again, depending on the one that you're looking for as far as features go, you could find one that has smart features on it, like where it hooks up to your smartphone and actually has a predetermined height you can set on it, so that, you know, instead of cranking sitting there and waiting for it to go up to the proper position, you can actually hit a button on your phone, and as you're pulling your tow vehicle up, the thing will go up to the proper height that you need to get under the hitch. So there's a lot of different features, again, depending on the weight of your trailer. You know, if you want fancy lights or really bright ones or different things, you know, we're going to have these different ones available on Amazon for you to select below. One of the features of this one is that it has a drop foot on it. So that's always nice when a trailer jack has a drop foot on it. This is going to help us out not on two fronts. You know, one, when you need a little extra height for getting level at a campsite or somewhere that's not very level, but also this is going to help us when we actually are hooking up our weight distribution bars. When we hook up our trailer, we hook it up in the yard, we pull it out because we have to go down a ramp, and then we pull out in the street to pull in straight so that we can then hook up our weight distribution bars. Now, before, I would have to pull out my big chunk of wood, throw it under the jack, crank it down, and get it up to the position where we could put the bars on by hand. Now this is going to help me because, number one, I can do the cranking with the electric jack instead of by hand, by manually doing it, and I can drop this drop foot down so that I don't have to pull that big piece of wood out of the back of the truck to get that height I need to get those weight distribution bars on by hand. So the drop foot is always helpful. This particular electric jack can go higher than some of the other ones out there. So this can go up to 31.5 inches. So that's pretty high compared to some of the other manual jacks and electric jacks out there. So again, the other features of this trailer jack and the majority of the other ones are going to have some type of lights on them. Depending on how much you spend is going to determine the quality of the lights. So these are just some basic LEDs that has a switch right here to turn on and off. So that's nice. This one does not have a power switch to it. That's why we're talking about installing one inline. The switch for this is just a toggle switch where you go one way to go down and one way to come up. So that's why we're going to install a switch, because technically this is always going to be on. Or having power going to it, so probably some type of phantom power will be being sucked out of your batteries while it's hooked up. And then it also has these 3 washers. Now, not every trailer jack will probably come with these, but these are some star washers here that are meant to scrape away the paint on this. And so what you're probably noticing is that, hey, there's only one wire to this thing. When I hook up something to my trailer or to my car, usually there's two wires, a positive and a negative. Well, this is grounded and connected negatively internally to the motor, so you don't have two wires coming out. You actually just do one wire right to the power supply, and then it gets the negative ground from the trailer frame itself. But you need a solid metal to metal connection there, so that's why they give you these star washers to scrape away the paint in case your connection isn't, if you have a bunch of paint on your trailer frame, and then this is painted as well. So you will probably need to use these to finish that circuit so that you can actually have this properly powered. So be aware that you do not want to lose these little knurled washers if your trailer jack comes with it. You're also, again, the majority of these are going to come with an inline fuse. You should always install an inline fuse because you just want to protect the motor on it, as well as protecting your other equipment down line. Now, this is one of the, I forget what the name of this is, but it's one of these fuses that's like an old tube fuse. And it's not like some of the ones that you would find, or it is like, but what I'm getting at is that you should probably just go to the auto store and get a regular inline fuse that uses a bladed fuse like your car uses, or like your 12-volt system in your trailer uses. This fuse is not very easy to find a replacement, and not saying that you're gonna need one all the time, but the fuses you probably have on hand just in case already fit your trailer 12-volt system and already fit your car 12-volt system. So mini fuses for your car, and then regular 12-volt fuses for your trailer. So if you blow a fuse on this, you're probably not gonna have one around. Again, I forgot to pick one up, but I would just recommend going to the auto store, picking up one of those inline fuses. We'll provide an affiliate link for one that you can pick up on Amazon, but that's gonna save you if you do have an issue down the road. The last thing that we want to talk about that these come with is these do come with a manual cranking arm. So if you do lose power, or if something happens where you don't have access to power, your batteries go out or whatever, all these jacks do come with a manual arm. You just simply pop off a rubber cap that's here on the top and then slip this in and go cranking away just like you would with a manual jack. So for those of you that didn't know, what happens if the power goes out, you do have a manual jack to crank up or lower your jack with. So enough talking, let's get out to the trailer and get this installed. We're gonna be installing it on a 2019 Coachman Apex Nano. And again, we're gonna be installing this to a major power point that they've already made from the factory. We'll show you guys that right when we get outside, so you know what we're talking about. But just be aware that that is where we're hooking it up to. And for the majority of trailers, this connection point will probably be there. If it's not, then you can just make the connection to your battery, or if you just feel more comfortable making it to the battery because of how close it is, then you will be able to do that on the majority of trailers. We also, for ours, we already checked it out, we do not need to get any longer wiring. So this wire from the factory is going to be long enough to splice in our switch, our inline fuse, and make the connection without adding any extra wire. All right, so the first step you need to do is get your trailer properly supported. So you cannot support it by just the jack itself, because you're going to be taking this out of there. So you need to get it jacked up to a level that you want. You can also simply hook it up to your tow vehicle as well. I'm not going to be doing that today. I already have the wheels off because we've been doing some other work. So it's actually up on jack stands right now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some cinder blocks under the very front of my trailer tongue here, and that's going to allow me to just remove the current manual jack. So I'm just going to put these in. Now just look under your jack, your very front of the trailer frame here, because there is sort of like usually a piece of metal, and you don't want to slip off of that. So again, just make sure you're jacking it up properly, and if you just feel more comfortable using your tow vehicle and dropping it onto the ball, that's probably going to be easiest for a lot of people. Okay, so we've got the whole weight on there now. Get these bolts out. Now when you go to drop yours in, one of the things you also have to consider is what position you want the motor in. Now for some people, depending on if you have a long shank in your hitch or not, you know, sometimes if you want to lower your tailgate on your truck, you might actually hit this. So for some people, they might have to turn it sideways. For some people, they might have to turn it all the way around. So again, just be aware that if you're trying to make sure your tailgate opens all the way on your tow vehicle, you might have to change the position of this motor. Now I have an extra long shank on my weight distribution hitch, so I don't have to worry about that. And now this is where you're going to use those star washers to actually bite into the metal. And we're going to be using the same bolts. Now our bolts actually have some knurls built into the flange on it. So you might be able to just get away with that. But we're going to actually use these just to make sure that our connection is really good. All right, so this is what I want to show you guys under the trailer. Our connection is going to be made to this main power point right here that they already have established. So if you get under your trailer and you follow your 7-wire harness that hooks up to your tow vehicle back, you're going to see that on the majority of the time, for a lot of people, it's going to go into this little junction box here. So this is where they're going to make all the connections for your 7-wire trailer wire harness in here to go to your brake lights. That's what's in here. You can see we have the main power from the battery going again to this junction so that it can supply power to the brake controller, as well as back to the battery so that it can charge the battery from your tow vehicle. And then you can see we have the main line that's coming from the battery going back to the charge controller. So that's what you're looking at, and we're just going to hook up right to this top terminal right up in here. That's going to make things really easy. Again, I don't have to add any extra wire to the electric jack because the wire that's already supplied to it is going to be long enough to reach all the way through here. So we'll just run it through this hole and then hook right into that top connection right there. For my installation, again, I'm going to install this switch here, and actually down in here on the bottom plate of the mount for the trailer jack, they already have some holes mounted in there or drilled through there. So I'm going to actually be able to just put my switch right up into there just like that, and pretty much it's going to be out of sight. So then we have our cable here that again is going to be long enough to reach our main power supply, our main power point. And we're just going to run that along the inside of the frame here. We're going to join up with our emergency brake here, and we're just going to zip tie this cable all the way down and get back to the power supply and make that connection. We're going to splice in our inline fuse and our switch right here. So this is why you want to get it mounted first, so that you can see how long the wire comes down or where it comes down, so that you can make the connection to wherever you're going to put your switch. So we're going to put our switch again right here, and so we're going to get that spliced in right now. Okay guys, so that's all there is to it. This is a super easy install. Really, the work is just deciding where you want to mount your switch and making those butt connections to join the splicing the wires together. So it's super easy. Get the power hooked up, make sure your bolts are tightened down well, and then let's test it out. So it's really nice. You can see that it works perfectly. You know, if we turn our switch off down in here, then we have no power to it at all. Lights don't work. So I really think that if you guys decide to install one of these switches, it really is worth it. You know, it's going to help so people don't mess with it, possibly walking by at the campsite or wherever you're dry camping somewhere. And it'll also help to make sure that you're not, draining your batteries with the phantom power. All right, that's going to do it for today's nailed or failed installation and review video on those small parts that we showed you at the beginning of the video. Please again help support the channel by purchasing those parts and even an electric jack through our affiliate links that we provided down below. And if you're interested in watching any other DIY modifications that we'll be doing on this 2019 Coachmen Apex Nano, definitely hit that subscribe button so that you're alerted when we put out more videos. We're going to be producing videos on solar, battery systems, bumper supports, a host of other parts that are really easy for you to install yourself. So again, definitely hit that subscribe button and you'll be alerted when we come out with those new videos. Please like if you like, subscribe, and check out the other videos. Thanks for watching Nailed or Failed Reviews.